This is Close Encounters of the Tech Kind. Please enjoy this compilation of cybersecurity tips to help protect yourself online.
All right, so let's jump into the cybersecurity side of things, the personal security side of things. So I want to have this conversation because I'm literally helping two separate clients right now help recover their lives. And we've had a couple others, but there's two active cases right now. So I'm not going to give names, not going to details, none of that. But we'll just get into generics.
Yeah, tell me, like, when you say they've had their lives like turned over, yeah, give us some more without obviously disclosing, too much. But, like, what do you mean by that?
So an example of all this stuff that I've done, I'm going to go generic. I don't want to pull any user identifiable information or anything like that. Not going to break any confidence. We run the company like we're Switzerland. We'll hear everything. We won't share anything about anybody. It'd be a tough time to just get the name out of us. But imagine waking up one day and your bank account is not just zero, but it's down $2,000 because they siphoned out $2,000. You go to the bank and you say, I didn't do this. I didn't authorize this. And the bank goes through the fraud, checks it in, looks at all the data, looks at the logs, and finds out that your phone coming from your home's Wi-Fi authorized all the transfers.
Yeah, I guess I'm out 2,000.
Yep.
So we're talking financially, ruin. I mean, usually that's kind of what hackers are after. But I mean, what else can that look like?
Well, and
they
it
can
could
ruin
also
your bank
be
account. What else?
It could also be a pivot towards your company. So if they hack into your personal life, let's say they got access to your phone, you go to work, you jump on the work's Wi-Fi, bang, now you've got a device inside. Now the hackers have a device inside the firewall that can now ping servers or hit printers and potentially infect those.
Run me out of
So you
cyan.
get a foothold. Yeah, but it would fix that problem for you.
Yeah, so okay, I see what you're meaning now. So tell me a little bit more.
So helping these people get their lives back together got me an idea of we should talk at length. We should have a conversation with everybody and say, here's the basics, what you got to do. So IoT is a great springboard. We've talked about setting up a separate Wi-Fi. We haven't talked about setting up a separate email.
It's true.
You should have a separate identity for all of your inconsequential devices that require subscriptions. Even Roku, even your smart TV should be on a completely isolated, mistrusted. Your bank should be on a separate email address than your primary correspondence email. Doesn't mean it needs to be separate on your phone. You can have both accounts on your phone. It's less secure, but let's be real. If you want a fully secure life, go outside and turn the breaker off. Shut off the electricity, and that's the only way you're going to be safe.
Yeah, but like what you're talking about, we live in the real world and we can't just shut ourselves off from the outside. That's no fun. It's not living life. So, yeah, I think you're totally right in separating things as much as you can, spreading yourself out. Because I mean, it's the biggest thing is you put these firewalls, up in your life, your digital life. If you have one email air gapped from the rest, then it's kind of it's a lot easier to narrow down. Okay, I need to make sure I resecure these things because there's only these things that are connected to this email. But if you have everything, and it's happened to me. I think I've shared it before on this podcast. I was out camping, had 7% left on my phone, no way to charge it, and all of a sudden I get all these emails. Hey, you're logged into your someone's trying to log into your Microsoft, into your Apple account, into your Gmail, into everything, because I was using the same email for everything. And now I'm not, which makes things a lot easier and makes me feel safer, knowing that even if they do get into this one thing, um, they're not going to be able to spread laterally, at least not very far.
Yeah. And that's really the trick is, how do you make life less convenient for yourself, but downright impossible for somebody else to try and put the pieces together if they hack in? You know, if you know you've got 3 or 4 Gmail accounts, great. Don't save the credentials in your browser. Don't memorize the passwords for these. Make it easy
And
for you to remember. Don't make it easy for somebody to guess.
And I think that's the biggest deterrent for most people, including myself, is it's inconvenient. There's a lot of things I have to remember, commit to memory, or either I'm gonna have to write them down somewhere, store that information in a secure place, because I don't trust myself to remember all of these different passwords I've created, all the different accounts, what's related to what. So what would
Do
you
you
say?
do you know, just to cut you off, do you know how many people I've talked to that use one password for all their sites?
I believe it's most people, without a doubt.
It's frightening. I can't tell you, Jackson. You just look at them and say you're using one password for everything. It's one password, one name for your Roku, for your bank account, for your dishwasher. Okay.
Yeah, and and people will always just throw out. So I want to know what you'd have to respond to this, and maybe Mike. I think Mike might know a couple of tools out there. But because I mean, I've heard it a lot. I've worked with one-on-one tech with a lot of people, especially when I worked at that repair shop. All the time we're having to help people get back into their accounts. And yeah, it's the same story. Well, I just have one password for everything. That's the only thing I can remember. Like if I have more than one, I won't remember, and then my life becomes unusable. So now I can't get in, and the hackers can't get in. Well, that doesn't do me any good. So what would you guys recommend to um, anyone and everyone that has that worry and concern, and I mean, it's yeah. What do you have to say to that?
So real quick, there's a cool feature that Gmail has. You can put a plus in the name. So like we got john.kiesling@gmail.com. That's not me. Don't spam that. That's not me. Somebody else got that before I got it. You could put a plus sign behind that and say apple.com or citibank.com or just Citibank. So now your email address is very unique to that site.
And
So
it has its own
copies that,
password.
harvests it.
And it has its own
And
password. It's its own mailbox, its own password.
It's not its own mailbox.
Not
It
its
all
own
comes to
mailbox,
your main box.
but it is its own login with its own password.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, I haven't
So if
never
you
heard of
copy,
this. Tell me again. So like, give me an example.
feature.
So if you
Okay,
have
so an example, mybusiness@gmail.com. Let's say that's my primary Gmail account, right? Okay. So I could then set up a different login, and it kind of does, it's kind of a pseudo separate email box. Okay.
You use Bosch
Because
as the
you will,
example.
yeah. So you could say for your dishwasher, okay, you're going to say my company, then a plus sign, Bosch@gmail.com. Right, John?
Okay. So it's before the app.
Right, before the at, because that's still in the username space. Okay. So it treats that as its own login. And then when Gmail picks that up, Google picks that up, it's going to recognize that and say, hey, you can set this up. You need to sign a password to it and everything. And you can be a completely different password. Now, the filtering, the way it works is that in the master account, I believe email-wise, you'll still see emails come in to the master account, but you'll be able to filter them because now they have their own unique identifier attached to it. So if you have folders or something like that, you could set up rules to say if it's got this email address, then put it in this folder when it comes in. and then you can treat it that way. But the important thing, though, is that it does come with its own password. So you can make that a completely different password than what you use for your primary account.
So
and change it and update it on a totally different schedule as well.
So say I've set it up and I've got maybe my main in a plus Roku at
Mhm.
Gmail. So when I go to log into a new computer, or I'm in a private browser or whatever, and it doesn't remember my login credentials, I go to Gmail, I log in with my main account. Do I then have to enter a password in for every single one of my subsidiary accounts?
Nope. No, because you'll log in for just that one account. Like, so you want to get into the Bosch account to manage your dishwasher or something, and let's say that you had to reset something, and Bosch had to send an email back to you, because that's the email attached to your Bosch account that manages the dishwasher. So you can log in to that account specifically and be able to get that email.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to be
And
into your main account.
It comes to your inbox. It mixes in with everything.
It does mix in with everything, but the way that
one
Bosch,
inbox to manage.
yeah, the way that Bosch looks at it is that my company plus Bosch at gmail.com, it recognizes that as a totally different username than just my company at gmail.com.
Right. So
Okay.
I've got two questions then for you. So if I'm logging in on a different computer, if someone has my password to my main Gmail, are they able to see those Bosch emails? Because you said it's all mixed in, right?
Yes.
So how is that then really helping me if I have a separate password, but it doesn't matter if I can still see it from my main one? Or unless you're just saying that's in case that one gets hacked.
It is
then...
Right.
It is a method to compartmentalize those logins further than just having two email accounts. So we could have John at gmail.com. We could have John's second email at gmail.com. John work, John personal at gmail.com. Those do keep you separate.
But the
But
problem
this is
with
the way
that,
of splitting those hairs even further.
yeah, the problem with that though is then you have to go through Google's process to create a new account for each of those unique email addresses. Whereas, and then you'll have to go in and say, well, if I don't want to have to be logged into all those email boxes, I'm gonna have to put forwarders on to tell them to forward back to my main account. Then in this case, Google's already done it. By just putting the plus this, it treats it as a unique email address that you can use on another site. But the email, when an email comes to that address, it gets routed to the parent account for Google.
Right.
So that way you're able to set up something that has a unique email address or a unique username for whatever service you're signing up for, which means you can then give it its own password for that thing. But like the password recovery, even though Bosch, if for the dishwasher, let's say, sends you a password recovery, you see it in the my company at gmail.com inbox.
So I'm looking at this from the point of view of a hacker, right? Say I find that email and it's got, Mike plus Bosch at gmail.com. I mean, if I know about this, then I'm going to immediately start attacking just the Mike at gmail.com.
But you won't know the passwords.
Yes. So that's where, and Jackson, your head's in the right spot. Your Gmail account is the root access for everything. If you forgot your password, you click forgot password, type in Mike at gmail.com or Jackson at gmail.com, and boom, you get a recovery. So that's where you got to put two-factor authentication. You got to crank up the security. You got to make sure that your phone doesn't trust you to log in and ask you and challenge you. Give me a Face ID. Give me a PIN code. Give me something besides just, hey, I need to see my email.
Yeah, because
don't save your log on to your computer. Log out when you're walking away from it.
I still think that goes along though with what John was saying earlier about separating out like bank and other services, things that are critical, separating it out from your main day-to-day communication channel. So if my everyday email is mike@gmail.com, I don't think I'd want anything tied to that, especially like my bank or anything like that. Just because that I've seen examples where people get so in a routine with like social, especially with social media or with emails or something, if they just see stuff and they don't even really think about it, like they might click on it accidentally, or they might actually do something that opens it and sends some kind of a signal back to whoever sent it. Things like that, that's a compromise right there. And so that if that email is tied to my bank account, that's where a vulnerability happens. The way I envision it is I would even set it up on a totally different email service. There's lots of different free email services. There is Gmail, but there's other places you can go to for free email. And my idea is that I would set up a email account, one of these other services that I never use it to sign up for anything but like one or two specific things. Like I'm using this strictly for my bank, and I'm not even going in there to check for regular email. Like, oh, did my sister email me, or did my dad, send me a document or something like that? I'm not looking there. I'm looking in my regular email for that. The only thing I'm looking for in that email is a notice from the bank saying, hey, your interest account made $100 this week or whatever. That's great. That's what I want to see in that account, but that's the only thing I want to see in that account. I don't want to see spam. I don't want to see advertisements. I don't want to see anything except bank communications.
And I would go one step further, and not just bank, but also health insurance.
Yeah. I mean, things of that nature. Things of that nature.
Your core life.
Yeah.
Core life. Those things that you can't live without, that you need real-time access to, fold all those behind the scenes, but very small, very limited, so that if you do get compromised, you can use those to recover back into a real state of being.
So, just to make sure can I propose a solution maybe, and you guys can tell me what, as a user.
You can propose anything you want. Just don't propose to me. I'm already married.
So what I would do, knowing with what you guys have given me, what you've told me, and I'm going to take the ideas I like, the ones that I feel like would be reasonable to me, being someone who is also pretty lazy and doesn't like to set up a bajillion different passwords and different accounts. What it sounds like is reasonable to me is I'm going to set up my personal email. I'm going to lock that down, two-factor authentication. I'm going to get, that thing's going to be hard to get into, even for me. It's going to be annoying. But I'm okay with that because that's going to be connected to any of my personal emails that I send between me and friends or family. And, maybe a couple other things, but very limited services, Then maybe I have another email that's going to be separate email, not using the plus. I would use a separate email for any banking and financial. And maybe it's not a good idea to put all of your banking and financial in the same email. Probably not. But just for the sake of simplicity, we'll say I have an email, and maybe for each financial institution, I do a plus Chase Bank or plus, whatever. And I have my credit card. Say I have two accounts, and those are separated with different passwords on that email, but I can still see all of my financial information in one email. Then maybe let's say I'll make one more, just because 3 to me seems like that's enough. And that other one, I'll connect to, say, things I really don't care about, like Roku, or I'll do Bosch, I'll do my IoT things, or any of these sites that require me to subscribe to cloud service and, drive you nuts. They make you make an account.
Your garbage accounts.
Right. My garbage accounts, the ones that I hardly put any information into, but I want that separate, right? So I have 3 separate
so you'd
email
have
accounts.
Jackson's core life.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have Jackson's day-to-day and Jackson's garbage.
Yeah. And in that garbage, I'll use, like what you guys were saying, I'll have my plus Roku, I'll have my plus Bosch, I'll have my plus whatever, you name it. And so those are all separated, but those 3 main accounts, those are locked down. Two-factor authentication, That to me seems reasonable. It's going to take a lot of setup, but that's something I'd be willing to do. And I mean, what do you say to that?
Yeah, and make sure that you've got the recovery methods to get into those that are completely separate. You know, if you want to go next level, get a second phone.
Right.
You know, I hate to say
Or
have a
would
second
you
phone.
would you even say a second phone or even just a second SIM?
Second phone.
Okay.
Because if your phone gets hacked, and again, one of the clients, their phone got hacked, and their phone drained their bank account.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and furthermore, we've got another client where they took the phone in to Apple, had Apple factory reset it, and it's still acting funny. That's the technical term that they use to describe the way it's working. It's acting funny. So, I mean, it's have a second phone. Doesn't even need to be active on a cellular network. Just run on Wi-Fi. But set up those accounts separate. Put the two-factor on that phone so it never touches your primary phone. So if you do get compromised, you've got a path of recovery that nobody knows about theoretically.
Yeah. So I like that. I think that's, I personally probably wouldn't do a second phone, but that doesn't seem completely, outrageous to me. If I have just a dummy phone for home that's, got just a couple of accounts on it or whatever I need separate.
Let me talk you into a second phone, Jackson. After you get breached, you'll want that second phone.
Yeah.
You might as well start now. Just go get a cheap phone, buy it outright from a reputable dealer.
Yeah.
You know, even T-Mobile or Verizon. Just buy the phone. Don't activate it. Get the cheapest model you've got that's Android, or I don't want to say buy a cheap iPhone because that's an oxymoron.
It's not a thing.
But have that second phone and be ready to use it. Have it just on standby. Don't put it in the sock drawer and hide it. Use it.
Okay.
Keep it up to date.
So tell me why do I want the second phone, I guess? I mean,
If you
how
got
is that second
recovery
phone going to
emails,
help me? Yeah, go ahead.
if you got recovery emails or it needs to send recovery two-factor authentication to an app because Jackson's day-to-day email address got hacked or Jackson's core life got hacked, you want to set the two-factor on something that really is unreachable, doesn't log in, doesn't touch anything. It's truly offline. So your everyday actions happen on your phone and your laptop. But if you need to get in Jackson's core life, then you get into Jackson's core life.
Gotcha. So it's almost like air gapping that two-factor then is what you're saying.
Yes. That's probably the best analogy I could imagine is you're air gapping your access.
Okay. That makes sense. That's not totally outrageous.
It'll feel like it as you're setting it up, but it's not.
And now for part 2.
How do you prevent your trusted computers inside your network from reaching unknown IP addresses? Jackson, so you've got some experience in networking.
Yeah,
What
I've got
does
a
that
little bit.
question mean?
What does it mean? Essentially, we don't want our computer talking to our device, talking to somebody's website or some other IP from the internet that we don't trust. Because a lot of times I think people don't realize how much your device is actually doing in the background. There are lots of background processes that are grabbing things from the internet or doing things in the background just on your CPU. And so it's hard to see actually what's going on unless you are monitoring every single IP that comes in. So obviously blocking that means you're not going to allow anything, whether it's background or active process, to talk to said IP.
What do you think, Mike? Did you get the answer right?
I think so. I think there's, I was just thinking about the question that, how would I do it if I didn't already have some device that could do it for me? What would I have to do? And there's even just in the IP version 4 address space, there's billions of potential addresses, right? When you type in a domain and a domain name server gives you some kind of resolution like, okay, this name translates into an IP address, I have no idea what that IP address is going to be, and it may even change from time to time too. So I can't just go in and put my own like whitelist or blacklist of, good IP address, bad IP address, because because of that dynamic nature, the IP addresses may be changing, and I can't research billions of endpoints to know for sure which ones are good and which ones are bad. And so I think it's really great that this Atom solution that they've come up with, that they've done all that work, that they've been able to find a way to find out what is useful, what is needed, what can actually benefit people, and then just block everything else and assume that it's not trustworthy.
So I've heard other firewall vendors and other content filters say that they can do that. What makes Atom different? Artie, do you know the answer to that?
I believe that the big difference is that there is a whitelist versus a blacklist. And the whitelist is specifically sites that are known to be trusted, known to be trustworthy. And the major difference between the whitelist that they are employing and the whitelists that others might employ for their products is there is a very, very short lifespan on anything that's on the whitelist. So it will re-verify that something is still okay because, a website could get hacked or have some other issue come up.
That's right. So the blacklist that you're talking about, they actually don't have a blacklist. Everything is blocked. And only those things that are explicitly allowed through the whitelist have the ability to reach out to that site. So if you don't have access to, let's take ESPN. If you don't have access to ESPN because your organization has said no sports while you're at work, then you can't reach ESPN servers, period. And they've got a method by filtering that is pretty simple to set up and very robust on the implementation side.
What I think I find most intriguing from my research about what Atom does is their DNS harmony, which essentially, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, it'll essentially go out to several DNS providers and will check IPs periodically to make sure that that what is good is still is good. Because like Mike was saying, that IP that you want to go to originally, it could change. When I type in apple.com or google.com, there are several IP addresses that are linked to that, and it could change from day-to-day basis. And so one person, not every single business individually can be checking every single IP. That's why we have these DNS providers. And so Atom will actually go out and check several of these and will cross check IPs. And if a single one of them says that, okay, we don't trust this IP anymore, we don't trust this domain, it will lock that down.
Yep. Yeah, the more advanced features at the higher product levels let network administrators define which DNS to put into their DNS harmony there. So You come with a prepackaged set that is pretty robust, but I'll tell you, when Cloudflare finds a problem with your site, they'll blacklist it. When Quad9s finds a problem with your site, they'll blacklist it. But they won't blacklist fast. First one to blacklist blacklists it for us from getting to it. I should say it removes from the whitelist. We're no longer allowed to see it. And to Artie, you said it refreshes every once in a while. It's every 5 minutes. It rescans the domain. So if a hacker breaks into a domain, takes over the page, puts some malware on it, they have about 5 minutes before it's found. Use them wisely. I think that it was said best. It takes the attack surface of the broadside of a barn and reduces it to about the size of a keyhole. It's not zero, but it feels like it. So, Mike, as a trusted technology partner, a licensed technology partner for Atom, what does that mean we get to do?
That means we get to set up and install Atom devices for any kind of business that would like to have one.
Yeah. So anybody that's watching this podcast, we are licensed technology partners with Atom. We wanted to join them because this technology is that cool. We've been working with them for almost a year now, and it's just onward and upward, getting better every time. So congratulations to Atom winning that award. What is the name of the group, Artie, that gave the award?
Second, the 2024 SC Awards.
Nice.
And I'm trying to find out what that means.
So prestigious, we can't find the name. That's good. It's a very secretive organization. No, it's actually one of the more sought after awards to get in the industry because they take such a deep analysis of these firewalls. Security gateway, sorry. It's technically a security gateway, not a firewall.
Here comes part 3.
Artie, do you know? So, I mean, there's talk of TP-Link being banned in the US, or what is the government's standpoint on that right now? Are they investigating? What's
So
going on?
apparently they had been investigating for a while. But well, the government, I'm not sure if they're the ones that have been investigating, but tech companies have been investigating this for a while. Microsoft made some what would you say? Not veiled accusations, but they brought some concerns up about botnets being used by Chinese threat actors, and various other organizations have brought up concerns with TP-Link. So if things do go against TP-Link in this, if there's enough evidence, then yes, the devices are going to be banned from sale, and possibly even a farther reaching, you cannot connect these devices to the internet order that goes out. And you know, with the way that the internet's set up, we can find out where those devices are just by, you know, sending out pings to the devices. Other people that know networking better than I could, or than I do, could tell you the exact mechanisms for that. But yeah, it's considered a national security risk at this point, and yeah.
Well, and let's paint a picture to that. So it's national security. I've worked with a couple clients where they say, you know, who cares if my Ring doorbell gets hacked by, you know, a foreign country? You know, okay, so they can see my doorbell. They can ring my doorbell. Who cares? That's not a big deal. I can kind of understand that perspective, but let's go another direction with it. If I've got one doorbell, I've got one doorbell. But if I get 500,000 doorbells, 500,000 cameras across a state or a couple states or half a country, now I can monitor things. I can see things. We can actually start doing more intelligent analytics on what's going on, traffic patterns, and what's the kind of cars that they drive. We could start asking questions because we've got a massive data source. So
Just think
if
about
somebody, go ahead.
London's CCTV infrastructure.
Mhm.
I mean, they've got. I think it's still the biggest in the world, or the densest, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they can track anyone through anywhere, and so that power, where do you want it? In whose hands do you want it, right?
Well,
I'd
and
rather not
let's
have
just
that power in anybody's hands, personally,
I agree.
because it goes back to the who watches the watchers type of thinking, and I might just be a paranoid person, but I don't trust anybody to have that level of power.
Right, and to put it to John's point, we've seen what they've done with it in London to at least do some good, perceived good, right? They catch criminals. Now imagine having that same power, but then it's China or Russia or whoever else.
yeah, it's and it's who is the threat actor? Who's got the controls? Who's saying watch this, watch that? And we don't know. And worst part is if it's a vulnerability, you can't really control who is going to be the threat actor. First one to the door wins, right? First one to the vulnerability. So now I got the cameras, now I got the motion sensors, now I got the lasers, all that stuff. Just I own all the security that is out there. So you could blind a company, you could blind a utility. I mean, some serious risks here.
Yeah. And according to Wall Street Journal, an article stated that TP-Link has 64.9% of the US market for home and small office routers. Now, if all of those routers went offline at the same time, the internet in this country would suffer. And that would prevent a lot of people from getting online or businesses doing business. It wouldn't be a minor thing. So if it
No.
is controlled by a foreign actor, that's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I like diversity of product. I like diversity of the technology stack, or the security stack that sits behind it. If everybody was the same, then it's just one key to rule them all. As soon as you find one vulnerability, you've got all the devices in your control.
It's a scary prospect.
It is. But I mean, that's why we do what we do.
Maybe maybe they can't quite move it from the equation just now.
You
What do
got
you
real
say to
quiet
those?
there.
Am I having microphone issues?
You are having microphone issues.
All right, let me see if I can't solution this. Sorry about that.
That's all right. We'll wait for you.
How am I sounding now? Am I coming through?
Yes, you are.
All right, I'll leave it right there then. So my question was, if I am a TP-Link user, what's your recommended course of action? And maybe I'm a TP-Link user and I'm a little bit locked in. What do I do?
Throw it away, buy another one. And I'm not being jokative about that, but go find a different brand of router and buy that now. Because if the TP link is truly state sponsored, we don't know. We're speculating here, but if it's state sponsored, then it's worth switching to a different brand. But here's a head scratcher, guys. How many routers are manufactured in China? How many different brands?
Quite a few.
All of them? I don't know.
I know that there
It-
are other manufacturing plants throughout Southeast Asia. I
Mhm.
don't know of any that are manufactured in the U.S.
I know TSMC is getting their fab set up in Arizona. That's coming along nicely. Saw a thing on CNBC about that. They got a tour. But that really gets to the heart of the matter is diversification of their technology. If it's spread everywhere, there's a better chance that it's secure, and you're not beholden to a single place.
Yeah,
And
don't put
with
all your eggs in one basket.
And the other thing to stress, like John said earlier, just because it's cheap, you are going to get what you pay for. And it reminds me of the free TVs that some companies are giving out to people. Yeah, you get a TV and it's like a 38-inch flat screen, nice picture, everything, but you're not getting it for free because there's so much adware that's on there. And if you set it up behind, say, a Raspberry Pi to block all of the ads and all the additional things, you're now in breach of contract, and they can come and take your TV away. So it's there's caveats on all of the things, and if it reminds me of the phrase, "There's no such thing as a free lunch." If you get it for cheap, there's a
Well,
reason you're getting it cheap.
there's another phrase that I love. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. And then the big companies, why not do both? You pay for the product, and you're the product.
And lastly, part 4.
How do you spot a fake email, Jackson? How do you find out just by looking at it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go simple levels. Let's go 10 years ago.
All right.
What were the
10
ways to
years
find it?
ago, usually it's going to be in the sending address. The sending address will not come from, like, let's just say you're getting an email from Google or maybe Microsoft. The email address will either have something completely unrelated or something will be like misspelled. Same goes for even just headlines and content. Is it an old logo? Is it the current logo? Is it the correct logo? Is the email properly formatted? Is it grammatically correct? Those are kind of the obvious big alarms that kind of go off in my head when I'm looking at an email. Then if you go a little bit deeper, thinking about the content of that message, what is it asking me to do? What is it trying to inform me of? And is this the way that I should be contacted about this, right? Usually that's kind of a sure way for me when I find out, this doesn't seem like a normal, email notification that I owe, $5,000. I'm supposed to pay it in gift cards or whatever.
So if I sent you an email from a brand new Gmail account asking you to go buy gift cards,
It's going in the trash.
I mean,
The other
those
thing
were
is-
kind of
filters work,
easy to catch.
they would just go right into the trash immediately as flagged for spam because the algorithms they've got set up in, like Microsoft 365 or Outlook and Gmail and Yahoo and all the other mail services that are out there as a wide provider, they tend to have the algorithm set up to catch specific wording, specifically crafted emails. And it also relies on the ones that get through, people reporting them as spam, because then that their little AI will scan the thing and say, okay, this is what we found in this one. Look out for this in other mails in the future. And it's also why when you craft yourself a non-spam message, it can still be flagged as spam because you are mirroring some of the false flags that come up, or not false flags, but you are mirroring some of the red flags that come up in the email messages.
Mike, do you have
I've
any
had that
stories from
happen to
back in
me.
the day?
I've had that happen to me where I've had keywords. There's certain keywords I was using in an email, and the recipient's mail server was on a very tight security policy, and so my keywords got picked up as potential spam, so they were not getting any of my messages.
Actually, I
And
had somebody come up to me and
it took a few days to figure that out.
yeah, before AI, I had people come up to me and say, "Can't the computer figure out what's real and what's not?" It's like, well, first off, it doesn't know your contact list like you know your contact list. It doesn't know the context of your boss buying or asking you to buy gift cards. Maybe. Just got to pay attention. So what's the new one look like?
From what I've seen, the new ones, they're pretty good. It's pretty easy to spoof a logo, pretty easy to get an email address that looks legit. Some things that I've seen are now they just want you to click on a link, right? They want you to go somewhere, and that will either download something or maybe it'll even take you to login page. And sometimes those login pages are also designed quite nicely. It's not that hard to pull the HTML of a company's login page and just make a copy of it, right? So I mean, everything can look legit, but the other thing I was gonna say is if there are links in that email, I'm always gonna hover over that link and look at where it's going to take me. Don't click on it, but you can hover over that link and see where the address is destined to go, and that will usually be a pretty big tell.
You remember that one I shared in the all company meeting this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one from Verizon just for the listeners. It looked 100% legitimate if you read it. The only two telltale signs was it was a CSV file attached, like an Excel file. And then every hyperlink went to the same address, whether it was contact us or click for access to your account. But the domain was verizonwireless.com. It was from the system. It put phone numbers to get to Verizon. Everything was 100% spot on, except for those links and the attachment.
And how often do you, because I was just thinking about this, how often is it that a company will actually send you an attachment in the email? Usually they'll have you log in and download it from their servers, right?
Well, it used to be quite common that somebody would attach a PDF and send it saying, here's your invoice, or here's your shipping, here's your tracking information.
That's true.
And then
If you're expecting it, then yeah. But if you're not expecting it, like, it's an email that says we recently detected some activity. Here is a report. Like, I'll log in to see the report. I don't need an attachment sent right to me right at that point.
And I would think that they as a company, from a company standpoint, if you have millions of clients, you don't necessarily want your email server just automatically sending out a ton of files all the time. Like that's a lot of bandwidth. That's a lot of storage. It's probably redundant anyway. So
it used
I
to be,
mean,
though.
yeah, any sort of like file is usually, I mean, unless like what you're saying, unless you're expecting it, I don't see any reason why any company should be sending me a file unsolicited.
Right. But
so what's in the CSV then?
I don't know. I didn't open it.
What do you think
it's
was
one of
in
those,
the CSV?
I'm sure there was a link to some site to load the beginning of a chain of attack. So virus scanners will open up those files and look at it and see if there's anything dangerous. If there's anything obvious, it gets rid of it. But if it's the first of like a dozen steps to say, okay, save to disk, but reference this, and then that reference pulls down something else that has a link, you can slowly add in all the pieces of an attack vector.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 2 years ago tactic, is slowly spoon feed the malware into the system. Now you got bad guys using AI to write the content of an email.
Hmm.
We got the ability to spoof addresses. You can use like Cyrillic letters versus all those other languages. Put them in for the .com. And so your I is no longer the same as the I that's in the email. It's kind of frightening.
And I
What do you mean by
remember
that?
one that was common was lowercase l is the same as a capital I, so they would just swap those interchangeably.
Mm.
Yeah, depending on your font, especially. Yep. Which I'm always, when I'm sending information to customers, even to other people, if I'm sending like information that needs to be typed in exactly, like if it's an email address, I like to change that font to like a monospace font that has distinctive characters for each, distinctive glyphs for each character is, I guess, what I should say. So a 0 is definitely a 0. An L looks one way as opposed to a capital I as opposed to the number 1, so on and so forth.
So the opposite of a CAPTCHA.
Yeah. I mean, I want people to see it and understand it so that they type in the right thing. And I almost would wish that Outlook and other email clients in the header would show those email addresses in the same way. I want it in very distinct letter forms and glyphs that I can recognize and say, oh, that's not from Microsoft. That's from M and then some funky character that looks like an I, CROSOFT, whatever. And that way I could decide, oh, that's probably not real. That's probably fake.
Mm-hmm.
So we should start using Comic Sans.
Maybe?
No,
Wingdings?
Anything that's got a serif font would be preferable over a sans serif, just because the letters are more distinct, usually.
Yeah, ICANN has actually been trying to crack down on the names, prevent I'm going to say this wrong. The type of letters that we use, they're trying to lock it down so just that kind of letter or very distinct glyphs would be allowed, so you can't get the crossover. So
allowed in what? What would they have that jurisdiction over? I guess.
Oh, they're the ones that control the names.
The domain names, yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And basically, right now, isn't it like basically anything UTF-8 is game on?
But they're reining that in because there's a lot of overlap on those, which is good. They open it up so other languages can have .coms, but there's risk and there's unintended consequence.
Not that I could actually type that on my keyboard very easily, but
nope. But there's other keyboards that have it. Just that's the letter.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this. Please like, subscribe, and check out some of our other videos. Have a wonderful day.